This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
You have a rich person's name. Like, you should be a billionaire with the name Winfield.
And co-host Marnie Winfield.
Checking the microphones, going good.
It is the 30th of June, 2022. My name is Corey Winfield, and this is the 217 Recovery Podcast. More thinking like that, huh? Should be a billionaire. Just the name Winfield, right? Well, ironically, joining me on the phone is Noah St. John, Dr. Noah St. John, who writes books, and he actually came up with the word affirmation. It's not affirmation, it's affirmation. Talk to him about that here in just a second. But being in recovery myself, it was very difficult for me to accept that, yeah, I had a problem. It's kind of like I didn't want to admit it, and looking at having a problem is a problem for me. So I would look at it like, oh, that's never going to happen to me. Like, yeah, I can drink this and be fine. I can do this and be fine. That's never going to happen to me. A lot of people get hooked that way. And then as I'm in recovery, I look at people at AA meetings and I'm looking around the table and they got 3 years, 5 years, 20 years, 1 year. And I'm thinking, that's never going to happen to me. So it's kind of the same thinking, but like across the board different, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. Mm-hmm.
When I was in treatment the last time, this woman told me, hey, start a podcast. I had 20 years of radio experience and there was something I was missing in my life. And she's like, start a podcast, you know? And I was like, okay, what am I going to talk about? She's like, your recovery. Oh, okay. But then people are going to know. And she's like, oh, trust me, they already know. You know, just looking at your Facebook, like people know you got a problem, Corey. And so I was like, okay. And then I realized, you know, there's a lot of nonprofits. A lot of them take a lot of money, and some of them do really good things, and some of them don't. And I thought, I want to make it into a nonprofit. And she's like, okay, well, you can do that too. And then she told me to start writing affirmations, which are different than affirmations, which you can explain in just a minute. And I started putting up little notes all over the room that I was staying in. And, you know, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to, you know, turn it into a nonprofit. I'm going to make a business. And I've done all that. So what's the difference between an affirmation and affirmation?
An affirmation is a statement of something you want to be true. So this is what we've been taught for decades, actually over 150 years now by all the gurus in self-help. And you say these statements like, I'm happy, I'm wealthy, I'm successful. And your brain goes, no, you're not. And so, you know, I did this for many, many years. I started studying self-help when I was actually 7 years old. And so I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood, and I hated being poor. So I wanted to, you know, I hated that life of poverty and lack and not enoughness. And because I saw that right down the street, there's great wealth and abundance. So I said, how do I get from here to there? So I started reading all those books, and they'll say the same thing. Say these statements. I'm happy, I'm rich, I'm successful. And no, I'm not. I'm broke, unhappy, and miserable. And so in April 1997, I was in the shower when I had an epiphany, and I realized that the human mind actually responds to questions, not statements. And so that's how I invented this method, this methodology that I call the affirmations method, not affirmations, but affirmations. And that is the subject of many of my books. My new book is called Millionaire Affirmations, the magic formula that will make you rich. But it's not just about the money. It's about really, you know, getting that empowered mindset versus a disempowered mindset.
And that goes great with people in early recovery.
Exactly. That's right.
So instead of saying, I'm happy, I'm rich, you know, life's just wonderful. And then you tell that to the bank when they want their car note, you know, it's like, no, listen to me. I'm happy. I'm rich.
Right.
You know, there's doing and there's saying, and there's a good mixture of both of them is what it takes. You know, I could have looked at those little things that are written all over my room and then just went about my day, but I never would have started anything. You know, what's the trick to, as they say, getting off your ass to actually do it? Because a lot of people will say too, and me at the time, I didn't know how to start a nonprofit corporation. I've never owned a business. You know, like I didn't know how to start a business. And then when you turn it into a nonprofit, you don't really own it. You know, you just run it and you got to get other people to help you. But like, it's a process, man. And I had to get off my ass and I had to figure out how to do it. You know, and that's the thing that scares a lot of people is if you don't know how to do something, you just, oh, well, I don't really know how. So just move on and I'll go back to the factory and keep making $12 an hour, and you know that's just my life. And there's nothing wrong with that. people like you, people like myself, who think in the shower. Like, that's where my best ideas come from. I don't know why. I talk about it often on my podcast. I'm like, I was in the shower the other day and I was thinking about this, and don't know what's magical about the shower, but there's something that when something hits you, like it did for you back in April of 1997, where it's like, wait a minute, like this, I'm going about this all wrong. These self-help experts, which I believe self-help is something that people should, I don't want to say practice. They have to do it, I guess, that you can't practice self-help. I think you need to do self-help, and without doing it yourself, no one's going to, that's why it's called self-help, being aware of different situations and being aware of your surroundings and where you want to be and where you want to go in life, I think are very important. What would you say back in the day, growing up, what were some things besides, like, hey, I want to be rich, I want to be wealthy, I want to be like those people. What were some of the things that really like drove you or motivated you to move forward with your life?
Well, it was really, for me, it was pain. It was a lot of just pain. And growing up poor in a rich neighborhood is different than growing up poor in a poor neighborhood. Because if you grow up poor in a poor neighborhood, you're like, you don't really know the difference. You're like, oh, this is just the way life is. But growing up poor in a rich neighborhood, I thought, wait a second, why is my family, my parents, why do they work so hard and we don't have anything? It doesn't make any sense. And so it was pain and frustration that really drove me, because I don't like to work. And I'm like, this is very inefficient. We're working really, really hard and we're not making any money. This is really dumb. And I said, what the hell? We got to get out of this. And so I went on a long journey to figure out how the heck to do that. And so, when I finally did realize that, when I had that epiphany 25 years ago, and I realized, oh my gosh, this is what the human mind is doing anyway. We're already asking and searching for answers to questions. However, most people are asking really lousy questions. Like, why am I so stupid? Why am I so fat? Why can't I do anything right? Why isn't my business growing? Why can't I get the right career? Why is there more months left at the end of the money? Right? And when you ask lousy questions, you get lousy answers, and that creates a lousy life. So I said, well, what if we just flip the whole thing on its head, start asking empowering questions as opposed to disempowering questions? Wouldn't that have to change what you focus on, and then thereby change your habits, change your results? And that's exactly how you change your life. And so that's why, like I said, in my new book, the Millionaire Affirmations book, and then we also have the companion journal that goes with it, because as you said, you don't want it to just be positive thinking. One of the phrases that we use on our campus at my company, successclinic.com, is we say one positive action beats 1,000 positive thoughts. Because you can be thinking positive all day long, but if you're not doing anything, well, you're not really going to get the results.
I catch myself often talking about things that I want to do. I'm using air quotes. You can't see because we're on the phone, but I'm going to is what I kind of flipped it into now. And one of them is a TV show. A lot of people in recovery, we have very funny stories. And there's a club in town, like a comedy club in town, and I'm going to get with them and we can film it there. And I want people to tell their recovery stories, and it could be horrible, but I don't think I would let it be horrible. And there are some really funny people in recovery too. And then right. I want to film it and I want to shop it, and I used to say I want to do that, and I just said it right there, like I want to film it and I want to shop it, but it's hard to catch myself, and I'll be telling other people about, oh, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. And I guess my point here is it's hard to just snap your fingers and change the way you think, and to be self-aware of what you're saying and what you're doing and making sure that they're aligned, I think is very important for people when they're setting goals or when they have a vision, of what they want to do or where they want to go or what they want to be. For people in early recovery, it can be dangerous because sometimes hope has run out, and your families, right. They've turned their back, and rightfully so most of the time. We use, we use drugs, we use people, we get what we want. At least that's what we think we want. And we destroy all the relationships along the way. So if somebody was trying to, or somebody is trying to help their son or daughter what would you say to like the mom or dad of that person, you know, who's just frustrated, who's just given up kind of on their son or daughter or whatever? Would there be any advice you would give them as far as like forming some kind of affirmation?
Well, absolutely, yes. The point is that everything comes down to really three things. When we talk about success in life, in anything in life, whether it's your health, your wealth, your relationships, your business, your career, your family life, your social life, it really comes down to three things. And those three things are the right plan, the right tools, and the right support. When you have the right plan in place, that is the first step to anything. It's like building a house, right? And when you're building a house, you need a plan, right? It's that's what it's called, a blueprint. It's the same thing when you're building your business, your career, but even building your health back, right? And if you're in recovery, what is the plan, right? What is it you're going to do? Then you need the right tools. That's how do you do it? How do you do it? Well, to build a house, you need the right tools to build a house, to build a business. You need the right tools to build a business, to build recovery. You need the right tools for recovery. And then the third element is you have to have the right support. And that very often means that you need people to believe in you many times before you believe in yourself. It is very true that most people don't believe in themselves. And so the gurus go around saying, well, the secret to success is believe in yourself. Well, that's great. That's basically like saying, well, the way to be a millionaire is get $1 million. Oh, thank you. That was very helpful. Yeah. So it doesn't work that way. Most people do not believe in themselves. So we need, and this is what I've been teaching for 25 years. And one of the reasons that, I've helped people not just make literally billions of dollars, over $2 billion, but, help people in their careers, help people in their business, help people in their relationships, save marriages, help people in recovery all around the world. And that is because I give them those three things. I give them the plan. What do you do? I give them the tools. This is how you do it. And then many times for my clients, for my students, people who read my books or take my online courses or get coaching with me, I believe in them very, very often before they believe in themselves. And so whatever you need to do, you need to have those three things in place in order to have the life that you really want.
I like that. And it starts with the plan. Like you said, you got to have the blueprint to build the house. And the plan for, a parent or somebody could be, okay, well, we stop giving him money. If he gets his license taken away, then, we can not give him the car, but we can maybe drop him off. And like you can set up a plan of here's what we're going to do and here's what we're not going to do, like almost like setting boundaries. And the tools could be, like, okay, here's the meetings that he can go to. Here is the treatment center he can go to, and even if, like for my instance, I was 38 and I had to move back home with my mother and stepfather, I ran myself into the ground. And, maybe that could be part of the tools is, hey, you can live in this house, but look, here's, again, we go back to the plan of the boundaries that you set up. No using in here, no drinking in here. Right. We want you to clean the house every Sunday, whatever it could be, that all goes into the plan. And the support, I think the support would have to be for the parent. It could be anything from the Families Against Narcotics is what we have in Michigan. There are different types of supports. You can go to the family support for people who are alcoholic, like there are different supports you can go out there and seek out, because some people realize that some people don't, but the hell we put our parents and loved ones through. And a lot of people say, there's nothing for me. What am I going to do? I'm losing my mind here. We take people to and from treatment. And I had to drive a woman the other day, and everything was everybody else's fault, and she wanted to listen to one of our podcasts, and I actually played one for her, and it just happened to be the one we had recorded the previous Saturday, and it was about forgiveness. And my wife went into this, the topic of forgiveness and how we got to forgive ourselves, but we have to look at the role we played in these situations, like what part did I play in that? And let's really look at that. And at the end of the ride, she was just like, okay, so I don't take responsibility for any of my actions. I need to be more accountable. I'm like, okay, well, you listened. That was great. Because sometimes we're just so caught up in it. It's so much easier to blame other people than look at yourself and actually work on some things and you know, to find that role that you had in there, you know, is tough. So for someone who might need that kind of attention, you know, that's probably what they could probably add to their support. And the families too, though, you know, like that sister of that woman, she's just like, I need help. I need something. Who can I talk to? You know, and sometimes those people are afraid to reach out. I know my mom would tell stories about when she would go to the store, and I didn't know this until I was out of treatment the last time, but people will come up to her and they're like, how's Corey? Did he relapse again? You know, and like, I had no idea how that affected her. Same thing with my sister. Like, her friends would come over and like, oh, your brother, is he still like out there doing the stuff, or is he done drinking yet? I had no idea. You know, addiction is very selfish, and we just care about ourselves. And it's we don't, but yet at the same time we don't. You know, because if I cared about myself, I would have stopped drinking. Well, my liver shut down when I was 36. But that's not how addiction works, you know, and that's not how it affects your brain, and it makes food, water, shelter, that's secondary. They're going to cut your lights off, Corey. That's all right. I need to go buy a fifth. Well, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. Well, to an addict, it does. It makes perfect sense, because that's the only thing on our mind, and our brain just wants the instant relief. And, you know, unfortunately, alcohol is so dangerous, and a lot of people don't realize it early on. And next thing you know, you're trapped, and you're starting to shake. And, well, how do I stop the shakes? Well, I drink more, and I'm afraid to get help because I don't want to be called an alcoholic, you know, because early on, right. For me, I had a house, I had a job. I was working in 2 different markets for iHeartMedia. I was doing all right, man. Nice car, had the dream, but I didn't. I was miserable. I hated it. I liked the work, but I hated where I was at. I was away from family. I was in Arkansas in my career. I mean, some people say it's pretty, and I met some really amazing people there, but it just being so far away from where I was born and raised in Michigan, it was tough. And so I was struggling, and I didn't want to be called an alcoholic. So I just kept drinking, and I thought, you know, I would be fired. There was just there's so much negative and shame that goes along with somebody in addiction. I think that once we can kind of flip that and change that into an acceptable thing, like, I don't want my nephews or nieces to have a hard time with anything. If they have a problem, I'm going to make sure that they know they can come to me. If anything, if they don't want to talk to their mom or dad, hey, they can come to me. No judgment here, and we can get you some help. Because it's not about shaming them like a dog, like, oh, you peed on the carpet again, you stupid dog. No, it's about getting these people help so that they can get back on their feet and be productive again and live healthy, beautiful lives. It's so messed up how people will donate so much money to save cats and save pets. But then you get the homeless population and, well, they did that to themselves. They don't need no help. Like, you know, okay, first of all, we don't know what those people went through, you know, and some of them it's circumstance, some of it's drugs, you know, but regardless how they got there, you know, there are people who are down on their luck. And I remember thinking when I was in radio that I'm only a couple paychecks away from being homeless. Like, you know, I was like, And so I got with the food bank there in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and we raised a bunch of donations to feed people there. But it's so amazing how people will give to the craziest things. But then when you want something that's going to help people, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. Here in Traverse City, they're trying to break a record for the biggest cherry pie made. And they need almost $500,000 to make this pie. And I'm like, well, about the homeless people camping out downtown, like, can we help them out? You know, like, where, I don't know. It blows my mind. And people are like, yeah, let's help them build this pie. And I'm, what? Where in the hell? Where are we at in the world? And who gives a damn about a pie? And I don't know, man. It blows my mind. You know, it's stuff like that. And I'm struggling to find funding so we can take people to treatment to get them help. And these people want to build a pie?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Like, do I get a piece of the pie at least?
Yeah, well, let's hope so.
Well, maybe they had a plan and they got the tools and the support, but they're not getting the support from me, but that's fine, you know? I don't know, man. To some people, $20 million is nothing, you know, and,
that's right.
And to others, it's the world, you know, and that's just, I guess, where we live. And if people want to make a big ass pie, they can make a big ass pie, you know. But it is frustrating, and those are some of the things that that not just me, but other people in recovery struggle with. You know, it's It's seeing things and seeing the surroundings around them where they kind of feel less important. And that's just a them thing, you know, like that's how they feel. That's how I feel, you know, like I'm the one who needs to get over that, you know, instead of, I was telling my wife the other day, like there's a lot of stuff at the state level and I'm running around pointing fingers that you're doing this wrong. You guys aren't doing this. You're not doing that. Instead, and that approach isn't working, which is a surprise, right? Shocker. It only took me like 2 years to figure that out. You know, instead of being pointing fingers, you know, where am I at with, hey, here's how I can help you. Here's how I can help this part of the community. Here's how I can help these people. Just need some funding. Just need some funding things. You know, and I think that approach is going to get me a lot more cherry pie than the other approach. And
yeah,
I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that kind of stuff, but it does take time for us to figure it out sometimes. And then sometimes it takes people longer. And I'm just glad that it's kind of hit me now, so I'm not wasting my time anymore and moving forward with things. And how important would you say, because earlier I was talking about how I want to start this show and I'm going to start the show. How important would you say that is in changing that kind of thinking?
So whatever you're talking about, whether it's starting a podcast, starting a business, writing a book, losing weight, being in recovery, I mean, whatever it is, everything starts with a desire. This is what I want, and this is why I want it. And so one of the reasons that my clients and my students are so successful is because I teach them the two parts of success. The two parts of success are inner game and outer game. Whatever we're talking about in the human realm, there's always two components of that success. The first component is the inner component, which I just call inner game. The inner game is everything you can't see directly, but it affects everything that you do. So those would be like your beliefs, your values, your priorities, your desires, things that you can't see, but that affect everything. You know, when I'm speaking, when I'm doing keynote speeches or private workshops around the country or around the world, you know, one of the things that I ask my audience members is I'll say, what is one area of your life where your beliefs don't affect you? And people go, and I go, exactly. There's no place your beliefs don't affect you. Your beliefs affect your health, your wealth, your finances, your business, your career, your relationships. There's no place in your life where your beliefs don't affect you, but you can't see a belief. You can only see the effects of a belief. So that's your inner game. And so, you know, in my books and my coaching, my online programs, we have tools and strategies and methods that help people master their inner game, even when they've tried tons of other things before, even when they've tried just lots of other things and nothing really was working for them. And so that's the inner game and that's the inner component. But then we also have the outer component. The outer component is what you can see. And so what's fascinating about that is that you have plenty of people out there that look successful on the outer game. But because they haven't been taught how to master their inner game, that's when you get things like addiction and self-sabotage. So you can't go a week without seeing, you know, one celebrity or another who self-sabotages, who, you know, crashes and burns. Mm-hmm. And why is that? Well, they have all the outer trappings of success. They're rich and famous. They've got plenty of money. They've got, you know, adoring fans, whatever it might be. And yet, because no one has taught them how to master their inner game, that's when you get addiction and self-sabotage. So that's why we have to start from the inside out for that very reason. And that's one of the reasons that my clients, my students have that success, have the results, because we start from the inside out.
And your latest book you mentioned was Millionaire Affirmations, but that's not really about, like you said, not really about being a millionaire. It's not like, oh, I'm going to make $1 million if I buy this book. You know, tell yourself that every day. I think, yeah.
Well, I mean, money is part of success, clearly. But when I teach, I call it the freedom lifestyle. It has 4 different components: time, energy, relationships, and money. And so imagine if somebody gave you $1 million and they said, well, and you don't get any time to enjoy it, and you have to be miserable all the time, and you can't enjoy it with anybody. Most people would not take that deal. It's like, well, that doesn't sound that great. Mm-hmm. So the point is, money is part of success. Just, you know, money is a great thing. It's a wonderful tool, but that's all it is a tool. And so it doesn't fix everything, as I will about when you have celebrities and they've got lots of money. And yet, why do they sabotage? Why do they succumb to addiction? For the reasons that I said. So we call it Millionaire Affirmations. And by the way, the website for that is getmillionairebook.com. And there are bonuses. When you go to getmillionairebook.com and you order the book, and also you want to get the companion journal that goes with it, because that's how you make it a daily habit. Getmillionairebook.com is very easy to remember. But it's not just about the money. A lot of people think, oh, all he talks about is money. And I go, well, no, that's not true. I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood. So yeah, do I care about money? Yes, I do. But is that all I care about? No, not at all. In fact, I care much more about quality of life, like I was just talking about: time, energy, relationships, and money. All those four things together create a freedom lifestyle. But if any of those are missing, then there's something missing in your life.
I watch a lot of killer shows. My wife likes to watch it as we fall asleep. It's pretty weird. But all these people that are rich, they got people asking them for money and then killing them. It's horrible, in like horrible ways. And I look at it all the time, and having a couple people that I know who are kind of famous, I guess, and they're just like, man, this is a pain in the ass. And just think about, like you said, oh, somebody, here's $1 million. Okay, well, here's $10 million. And people just come out of the woodwork, and they expect you to give it to them, and people that you don't even know are coming with their hand out. And that's why, like, I feel weird about asking people, hey, can you donate to 217 Recovery? Here's what we do. And we actually help people. And I feel weird about it. I want people just to to discover me, just, oh, boom. Oh, I came across this great website, and oh, wow, these guys do great things. Let me just give them a bunch of money. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way either.
Nope.
But, so like you were saying, some of these, celebrities and stars, I mean, just because you have money, that doesn't, no. Like, that creates other problems, like Notorious B.I.G. said. He's now dead, rest in peace.
Yep.
The people that are out there working, 50, 60 hours a week, barely making ends meet, it's like, man, it would be nice to live comfortable. And there's more than just the money involved in that. Like, yeah, okay, you're working 60 hours a week. Well, you're tired of it. Well, what can you do about that situation? You can find a different job. You can go back to school. There's options. So to sit there and bitch about it and go home and say, well, I'm just going to drink. I'm pissed off. It calms me down. That was my big thing. It's like, oh man, my brain's just running. I'm overworked. I need to just, and that's not the way to do it. There are healthy ways to do things and not healthy ways to do things. So I like the inner game part, like having that on point and being true to yourself. Now, I don't know how I make it, man, tell you the truth, but I do. And it's by grace of God. And I'm happy. And I don't have a 3-bedroom home that I own. My car's all right. But I don't have those things that I used to think, like, oh, I need all this stuff to be successful, and then that's part of, how I grew up, just the society around me. Oh, you got to own a home. You got to own a nice car. You got to do this. You got to do that. And here I am thinking I'm falling right. Yep, I'm doing good. I got a house, and like I said, I was miserable inside. And, now I'm not making money and I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life, so it goes a long way to be happy. And then those other things just seem to kind of fall in place. Like I said, grace of God, like, I don't know how to explain it, but when you work with, cause you're known as the mental health coach to the stars, when you work with the stars,
yep.
Is it hard for you to have empathy for them, or with, like, is that something that you can say, like, wow, like, I don't know, Charlie Sheen, no idea, like, you just give them someone else's number. I'm like, I don't know, man, I don't got enough time in the day. Or like, what are some of the, like, situations that people find themselves in that are tough, and you kind of walk them off the ledge, or any stories you want to share, Noah?
Well, no, I don't give them someone else's number, and yes, I can empathize with them. No, that's my job, and I'm very good at it. The results speak for themselves. The results, over the last 25 years, not just helping people make so much more money, but have the peace of mind that many times money cannot buy. And so what's fascinating about money is money doesn't change anything. It reveals everything. So money acts as a magnifying glass. Whatever you are, and then you add money to that, you just become more of that. So in other words, if you are jerk who is poor and then you get money, you just become a jerkier jerk. And then if you're a nice person, if you're a giving person, a thoughtful person, a generous person who doesn't have money, and then you get money, you just become more generous. You become more loving, more giving. And so money doesn't change anything. It reveals everything. And so that's what I remind people of, is that it's good. Money is way better to have than not. It's just that damn simple. I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood, and there was nothing good about poverty. Not a damn thing. Oh, it's more spiritual to be bullshit. No, it isn't. It sucks. And so, however, money needs to be in its correct place in a person's life. Meaning, is that all you care about is money? I was just literally talking to one of my $100,000 clients today about this very subject. And when he started working with me, I asked him a very simple question. I said, how much do you think your head trash is costing you this year? Mm-hmm. Now, head trash is something that I came up with. Head trash is essentially, it's a lot of things, but essentially it's a voice in your head that says, well, I can't do it. I can't do it because I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough, whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. And so that can cost you, and is costing everybody listening to this right now. It's costing you a lot. And so the point is that I asked him, I said, how much do you think your head trash is costing this year? Without batting an eye, he said, $1 million. I said, okay, you give me 10% of that and I'll find you that $1 million. So he paid me $100,000 and he's already made that money back and much, much more in just the 12 weeks that we've been working together. And the reason for that is because of, what I've been saying. We focus on inner game. We focus on inner game, and then we also talk about outer game, but it's mostly inner game. And, people say, well, all he talks about is money. Actually, it's funny. We don't talk about money much at all. What we talk about is the causes of money and the causes of head trash. Mm. Once you take out the head trash that's holding you back, the money takes care of itself.
That makes sense, because it totally does. You're talking about the client. I started thinking about my head trash and how much is holding me back and how much negative thinking or bad thinking, how much time do I waste on that? Kind of like earlier when I was talking about, I gotta not do this approach. It's not working. I got to change it, be part of the solution, instead of going around pointing out other people's flaws and how state's not doing this right. State's not doing, Okay, we know they're not. What are you going to bring to the table? Change the thinking and change the tactic, change the plan around a little bit. Just because you have the plan, the tools, and the support, you got to make sure that those things align. Because just to have a plan, okay, that's a plan. Okay, that's a horrible plan, and hopefully your support team, support people, they will let you know that. And when your tools aren't fitting in either, you're like, well, that's a horrible plan. Because you can have a bad plan, bad tools, and bad support, and be like, well, I had the plan, the tools, and support, and it didn't help me. Well, you didn't have the right stuff in the first place, so of course it's not going to help you. That's where I think the inner game, you got to get all that on point, and it makes sense that the rest would fall into place. And when you're talking about magnifying, that money magnifies things, the first thing that popped in my head was Jeffrey Epstein. There's thousands of him running around, but they're poor. They're not magnified. And you get one, oh my God, he's so bad. And it's like, okay, yeah, he did some really, really shitty things, but there's people here in Traverse City doing worse things, and it's like, wait a minute, I'm not talking about the cherry pie people, I'm just talking about like people that are doing the same exact thing that he's doing, but they don't have enough money. They're not in the spotlight, their stuff just kind of gets looked over. And if you look at Deshaun Watson, if you're familiar with sports, well, yeah, you're from Ohio, right?
Yep. Well, no, I'm from Ohio. I'm from Maine originally, but
okay.
I've lived here the last 15 years.
You had to clear that one up real quick. I like that.
Well,
being a Michigan guy.
my adopted home. I know. I don't get into the thing. Michigan, Ohio. I'm like, okay, I get it, but I don't do it.
So you're just traveling across the country and your car broke down. You thought, well, Ohio it is.
Yeah, no, actually, I moved here on purpose, believe it or not. And it worked out. This is where I met my beautiful wife. We've been married 11 years now, and we've got a beautiful home. So, yeah, it's worked out great. Ohio's been very good.
So are you a Cleveland Browns fan then?
Well, let's put it this way. I have never seen a city with lower self-esteem than Cleveland. And a big part of that is their sports teams. Now, thank God they finally won something in 2016. You know, the Cavs finally put something together. Thank goodness. And that lifted a big cloud off of the city. So, you know, I wish them well. Let's put it that way. I mean, I'm from New England, so I mean, we've had the Patriots the last 20 years. Prior to that, the Patriots were awful. They were the worst team in the league, you know. So I was like, you know what? You guys are really lucky these days. and now, of course, Tom Brady is doing his thing in Tampa Bay, and he ain't going anywhere. I said when he retired, I'm like, he's not going anywhere. And of course, he's back. I'm like, good. Show him how it's done. Keep going, man. Yeah. But that's what I mean. See, when you study people like that, the champions, you know, I mean, it is their inner game that makes the difference. I mean, is Tom Brady the fastest person in the NFL? Not even close. He's the slowest person in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Does he have the strongest arm? He's got a very strong arm, but he works and works and works at it. It's not like God-given talent by any means. It's his work ethic. Where does your work ethic come from? It comes from your inner game. And so it's his mental strength that makes him Tom Brady. That's what makes him the GOAT, not his physical gifts, which, let's face it, aren't many. You know, so he's a great example of what it takes to be a champion and that we can all learn from. And that, you know, nobody handed it to him. He took it. And that's what we can all do. We can all just take it, the things that we desire, but not in a bad way, like we're taking it from someone else. But when I say take it, I mean, if it's something that you want to create, you have to go out and create it. And hopefully it's going to be something that will help other human beings.
Brady's a prime example because he said in an interview years ago he was going to play till he's 50. And I think he's a couple years older than me. And I just remember thinking, how's he going to do that? Like, what? And then boom, here we are, you know, and then he retired. I was like, wait a minute. You know, I kind of did something like, that can't be.
He's not done.
Like, that can't be.
When I saw that last pass that he threw, I said, he is not done. He is not done. I mean, he is still elite of the elite. And I mean, you just look around, you're like, he must be going like, why would I retire? I could just keep winning this thing. Mm-hmm. There's nobody else. I'm like, exactly. Keep going, Tom. Mm-hmm. We'll be rooting for you.
Yeah, I mean, he's got jobs lined up waiting for him, you know, and that's because and some people hate him because he's good, which, okay. You know, them haters out there, you got people that are going to be like that. There's nothing you can do about it. But he's living his life the best way that he knows how. And, you know, like you said, he's working hard and he's doing the stuff that what he says he's going to do. And he goes out and he does it. And if he doesn't win the Super Bowl every year, it's every other year or something. It was crazy. It's like he's won like 35 or some percent of all the Super Bowls since like 1980. Right. It's something just insane. I'm like, what? And I'm like, well, yeah. And then it pisses me off that he lost those couple to the Giants or whatever. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah, that was really stupid.
Yeah,
that was very, very aggravating.
But to see somebody like him come along, you know, it's good for the younger generation and it's good for the older generation, you know, because he's our guy now. You know, like that's our guy.
Right.
Keep going, Tom. And the young people can look up to that and go, wow, like I really can play till whenever, you know, and still be good. Right. You know, the way Peyton Manning went out was kind of like, ooh, you know, that was kind of sad. But, you know, injuries do take their toll. And again, Tom Brady has his own book, the little TB12 or whatever. And he talks about how he eats and the things that he does, you know, like if that's what you want to be and that's how you want to live your life, read his book. You know, knowledge is key, you know, and that's what I think is great about your books. They're helping people and in many different ways, but the inner stuff is good. Deshaun Watson, you know, I was talking about the money and the microscope and that's probably not a good idea, you know, but then you look at the other side of it and people are like, well, so he did a bunch of stupid stuff and was getting, we call them crafties, getting crafties from the massage parlors, but he was getting them from actually people off Instagram. He was finding women off Instagram. It's just really weird, you know, and the Houston Texans knew about, I mean, it's like, oh my God, man, like there's so many things that just make me want to shake my head, but then he got paid, you know, Cleveland paid his ass. He's only going to lose $1 million. If he misses the whole season, he'll lose $1 million. Whoops. Yeah. But he's getting like 55 or something. Just insane. So you look at it like, okay, well, he did some really crappy things, but look, he's getting paid. And I don't think that's a really good look for the NFL, for Cleveland, for anybody really, and especially the kids that are looking up to him. You know, it's just like, wait, I can do whatever I want and treat people however I want as long as I have money, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. I get rewarded with a big contract I haven't played in 2 years. Like, what? And I don't even remember if he was that good. I remember him losing a playoff game when they were up like 28-3 at the first quarter, and then Kansas City came back and beat the hell out of him. I remember that game.
Yep.
That's the last time I remember seeing him play, you know, and I wasn't too impressed, and I really wasn't into Houston sports, so I don't know, but is he even that good? But
see, that's the point, is there are so few people who can play the quarterback position well. They're that desperate. And so what does that mean for, you know, the rest of us, normal people? Find something you're great at and do it. And let's, you know, not do dumb stuff. let's not do these stupid things like, you know, yeah. So, I mean, that's the whole point, is that, that's people, celebrities, they can't really get away with much anymore. It's very different than it used to be with social media, you know, and so really that's a good thing, because these celebrities, they used to be able to hide and get away with stuff, and you really can't get away with anything anymore.
No.
Not for very long away. And so that's good. And that's the point, is that, you know what, we're being held to, all of us are being held to a higher standard. And I think that's great. So let's hold ourselves to that higher standard. And then let's master our inner game. Let's, you know, start using affirmations, use empowering questions, so that you don't have to succumb to your head trash, which says, oh, I probably can't do it anyway. No, don't listen to that. Go out and do it, and get the right plan, the right tools, and the right support, and then take the right actions. That's what's going to create success.
Have you ever thought about writing a book specifically for Cleveland Brown fans?
No, I'm not going to be doing that. That's not a big enough market, so no.
But those people,
I like selling a lot of books, not a few books.
But those people need it.
Yeah, well, they can buy my Millionaire Affirmations, Get Rid of Your Head Trash, Power Habits. I've written 17 books. They can get one of those. They'll work it out.
I'll write one for them. It'll be 1 page long, and it'll say Cincinnati Bengals.
Hello.
Become a fan. And then that's it. You know, you got a young quarterback he's a little cocky, but hey, he's not doing bad stuff that we know about.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, you know, it might be a trip for some of them down there to the game, but that's not a big deal. You know, and for the people that want to not like Deshaun Watson or the things that he did, or just people in general that they don't like, you know, if there's an actor that they don't like, you know, a lot of people don't like Mel Gibson. They don't go to his movies. You know, like, especially for Browns fans, then don't go to the damn games. You're not missing anything. Really, you've waited long enough. You can wait a few more years, you know? Like, if you really are disgusted with it, don't go. You know, show that, you know, you don't support that. And that's pretty much all you can control. You know, don't let yourself get all angry and butthurt over, I can't believe a team did that. Okay, well, then you make a choice. You know, you have that decision. Don't let it eat you up, and don't even be a Browns fan. Like, that's stupid. Why do you want to go through life miserable? Get rid of that head trash.
Oh, that's good.
No, but Noah St. John, I appreciate you coming on with me today. And, you know, hopefully somebody was listening and they heard something that, you know, could help them. And maybe if they get your books and do a little bit of reading, like I said, educate themselves about some of the situations, and they maybe can take that back to their family and friends, or maybe they can use it themselves and get that inner game on point and just be better at life. You know, that's what it's about. Life is very short. And just to find the things that we appreciate and that are important to us, and hold near and dear to them, and just move forward. I really do appreciate you coming on. You want to talk about the book's website real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So my main website is noahstjohn.com. That's my name. So just like it sounds, NOAHSTJOHN.com, noahstjohn.com. There's lots of free resources. You can also check out our shop page where we have our online programs and coaching. And for the new book, it's called Millionaire Affirmations, the magic formula that will make you rich. So go to getmillionairebook.com, getmillionairebook.com, and there are $300 of bonus gifts when you get the book. Also, make sure you get the companion journal, Millionaire Affirmations Companion Journal, because that's how you make it a daily habit And that's how you can really, really make a big difference in your life very, very quickly. And also, by the way, in the book, there's lots of stories of real people, real stories who have changed their lives using my Affirmations method. So all that, getmillionairebook.com and noahstjohn.com.
Thanks, man. I appreciate your time today. It was fun talking with you.
All right. It was my pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the 217 Recovery Podcast. Win a bunch of free shit from 217 Recovery. Go to the app or the website, 217recovery.com.